3, 2. Oh my God.
Yo, what's up?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the program.
The Airtime Podcast is presented by Van Shoes since 1966.
There's nothing fake about it. Have something to believe in and be yourself. You know what I'm saying?
All right, welcome back to the show, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We have one of my favorite younger generation boarders, somebody who I think navigates the whole tasteful approach very well. One of my faves, all the way from SoCal, Brock Crouch. What up, dog? How you doing?
Thanks for the introduction. That was nice.
Surfer, snowboarder, skateboarder, jack of all trades, and now mountaineer.
Oh, God. Yeah. Trying to. Holy smokes. It's crazy out there. The mountains are insane. But, yeah, from Southern California, and they keep letting me over this border. So I love it up here, and thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Here. Cheers, bud.
Cheers to getting married.
Oh,
Congratulations to this guy.
Thank you very much. I did just embark on that journey, and it was stressful. We were going over it. My dog almost died in the morning of the wedding. At 5 a.m, my dog ate a bunch of chocolate and, foaming out of the mouth and the whole 9 yards. And we ended up finding some guy because we were on a remote island to take her to ER. And anyways, she was back at 7 p.m. and the wedding was a smashing success. So,
that's awesome.
Peaks and valleys, like they say.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of those.
Maybe let's start this with, you were talking on, you and Ben were doing some sort of Red Bull mountaineering classes overseas. Touch on the courses that you took, because there's one course that you took, I feel like, with Red Bull, where you're going mountaineering, and you also took another course that was like an outdoors course. Mm-hmm. Maybe touch on the two of those and why you're embarking on those kind of journeys.
Sure. Yeah, me and Ben and Mark and Dan and Mikkel and a couple others are working on a project. So we went over to Europe at the end of the year and did this pretty cool. We had like this big meeting out in Salzburg where the Red Bull HQ is. So that was super cool to go check out. I've never done that. It's crazy. Their compound is insane. Like, super thankful for those guys and everything they do. But then, yeah, after that, we went to Zermatt, and they had, like, this big mountaineering course. We were, like, I've never been so out of my element or, like, comfort zone. You're, like, rappelling down with ice axes and crampons and all sorts of stuff. And, yeah, kind of just opened up a new realm of how you look at the mountains. Yeah, it's insane to how people like to navigate the mountains. It's like definitely pretty next level, the shit you can do out there. And yeah, learned how to do all the crevasse rescue and doing the rappels down into like runs, ride and run, set up the T-slot, rappel down over this cliff to like get out of your line. It was absolutely savage. But yeah, and then right about a few weeks before that, I ended off the year in Tahoe doing like a Wolfer course, a wilderness first responders. Yeah, got in the accident in 2018 and got pretty banged up in an avalanche. And ever since then, kind of just wanted to like learn and just be as safe as I possibly can, operating out in the mountains with the crew that I'm with. I just want to be like a strong force to the crew that I'm always with, and just always being as prepared as you can. So yeah, I did an 80-hour course, like 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. 2 of the days, and then like 7 to 5 the other 3. It was pretty crazy, learning everything in real detail of how to like stop blood shit and just CPR and all sorts of stuff, because yeah, that's what I want to learn about to keep everyone safe if you ever come up on a crazy situation out there, because it'll happen quick.
100%. So what do we got for CPR? 30 on the chest and 2 breaths? Is that what they're still doing these days? 32?
I think they're still doing that 32 thing. There's like all these different songs that they like always have you like listening to, like just like beats per minute to like give you a good pace of how it like should be. And yeah, it's pretty crazy.
What was your biggest takeaway from the wilderness class? And what was your biggest takeaway from the mountaineering class?
The wilderness class, probably just like refreshing up on like a shoulder dislocation or like just the splint stuff on like if you're dealing with like a broken tib or some shit that I feel like would possibly happen out there in the mountains for sure. And just getting those like elbow dislocation, like just weird dislocations, and learning how to kind of get that back into a safe spot to transfer them out of the mountains. Because you can hand drag down a POW landing or something and just tear that thing out super easy. So learning that was really cool. And if you ever have a crazy bleed, just making sure that the blood stops.
But let's touch on that. Okay, if you got a crazy bleed, let's say, are there some, like, what would you do in that situation? Maybe
dude,
if you
they were
didn't have
like
all the
teaching
tools?
us about like getting tree branches like stuck in your eye. Like, what do you do then? Like, they were like teaching us the craziest shit. But I mean, if you were dealing with a crazy laceration, if you're on an artery, you gotta put a tourniquet up above the wound and try to just start filling that thing and keeping a lot of pressure on there and trying to bandage it up. And it's all to a certain, they showed us the most savage videos ever. So like, it's all to the extent of what the bleed is, but
I don't do good in those videos.
Hope to
I've
never.
seen them.
Yeah,
I don't do good.
it's crazy.
They're like, and
It
this
gets
is
you.
this is a pig getting its artery sliced,
Yeah.
for example, and I'm like,
Yeah.
holy,
Yeah.
like you can bleed out quick.
Yeah.
A
Yeah,
tourniquet's
your body only has like 5 to 7 liters of blood or some shit. Like, not that much.
I have no idea. I know that there's it seems like a lot of blood, especially when you see somebody cut themselves bad, and a laceration, if it's done like in the right spot. The tourniquet's kind of like an overlooked thing, because if you're gonna bleed out, you need one, or there's no way you're gonna tighten a string enough.
Yeah, for sure.
And do you still want the cat one specifically, that branded one, the cat tourniquet? Is that still to go?
All those the people like teaching that shit are saying those are the ones.
All right, mountaineering.
Military approved. The mountaineering, honestly, just to see how you can operate in the mountains and just be safer. I think like it honestly opens up like a bunch of new crazy like elements. If you wanted to like look at a mountain that way, for sure, you could get like super rowdy. All respect out to like all those crazy mountaineers, like Nick Russell and those dudes are just like going savage. They're like going down to Pakistan and like out spending time down in like April or like May and June out over like in the Everest range and stuff like that. It's crazy. Like the fact that they want to go and snowboard that stuff is pretty cool. And I think I would definitely adventure on it later on down the line. Like, I'm only 24. I love hitting jumps into the POW right now currently and riding the park. And I think like just using all of that gear was really cool. You know, I want to definitely throw that stuff in the sled bag just to like be safe, like out like crossing glaciers here, like we were just talking about. It's like it can happen so quick. Like the glaciers are moving so much and the snow years are just fluctuating and the storms are so weird. So it's just like, might as well be as safe as you can out there. And just because it's like ropes and you're roping up, it sounds super crazy, but like sometimes it's just like to me, it feels like it's just another way to be way safer out there. But yeah, learning how to like do the ice axe and put on a crampon, and like we did a lot of ropes work. So like rappelling, just like blind, going into this like you have to trust that your T-slot is like gonna hold your weight, and that bend's gonna sit there and like rappel me down and just hold me. Like I'm like, all right, all faith in you, I'm gonna go on this ice wall now and like back down. So just honestly like it was a huge like thing of like putting trust into like Ben or like my crew that I was working with out there, of just like, okay, well, you're holding me right now, like you're just gonna save my life. There's a couple knots that'll save you here and there, but like other than that person's like giving you slack to rappel down with your crampons and ice axes and stuff. So yeah, just learning about all that gear is really cool, because there's so much different shit you could use to be in the mountains. It's insane.
Yeah, it almost seems like a never-ending supply of tools that you could have, but you want to limit it to like stuff that actually makes sense to have like what is necessary, or else you have too much stuff. You mentioned T-slot there a couple times. Touch on that. What's a T-slot?
Yeah, T-slot is, we have these dope-ass things called snowboards, and you can, like, wrap up. You, like, take your Abby shovel and kind of dig. Like, it looks just like a T, pretty deep down there. Hopefully the snow is good and there's no weird facets down there and shit. So, yeah, you dig your board down. You kind of, like, throw, forget what that little rope is. It's, like, the 3-foot long one. You sling it around there, tie or loop the rope through, and then you pull it and kind of, like, fill the snow, and then take the shovel side of your shovel and make a little slot for it. So that's why it's like a T slot. And that's where you, like, belay. And if you ever, like, have someone go into a crevasse, or, like, if you're trying to get into a run and just, rope up to slope test the thing or whatever. If it's kind of sketchy with cornices around, it's just, like, another way to be safe up on the ridge or get your homie, you know? So you can set up a bunch of stuff off of the T slot. You can use, like, a Snickers bar, I've heard, or a Cliff bar. Like, it's kind of weird, like, all those people, you set up a T-slot to, like, get down into line sometimes, you know, and so then you want to get all your rope back so you don't have to climb back 5 hours after you do this huge run to go and get your little thing that you left up there for the T-slot, you know. So sometimes people just leave, like, you can do it with, like, mad small things, and, like, they're rappelling off of it, and people are just trusting that. So people are
rappelling off cliff bars.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like, I swear Nick was saying that one time at a course.
Take that with a grain of salt, everybody.
Yeah, I'd maybe go beer can, but I don't know.
There's people
seems a little full.
There's going to be people who tie their rope onto a Snickers bar next year and rappel off of a cliff and die. And
I wouldn't do that.
I heard it on the podcast. Don't believe everything.
Definitely don't do that. Don't do any of this if you're not with a guide that is super smart, because there are so many knots and things that you kind of are just like, whew. Like, I have mad photos on my phone. I'm like, if I ever need to set up, like, a crevasse rescue or anything, I'm gonna be like doing the shit I know how to do, but then also, like, looking at my notebook, like, okay, I learned this.
No, but that's good. Like, that's actually a really good idea. Mm-hmm. Like, you're not going to remember at least for someone like myself. And I'm a visual learner, so having that, like, a photo of the knot, as soon as I saw it once, I'd be like, that was the knot. Yeah. That's what we use in this situation.
Mm-hmm. And there's so many knots I've learned. Like, if you got, like, the 3 to, like, 4 knots pretty dialed, you're, like, pretty good in most situations, I feel like.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, a lot of teachers I've realized teach, like, different ways, you know? Everyone has their kind of thing that they follow, but.
So which Burton rider, now having taken this mountaineer class, do you think is going to want to take their riding to a more mountaineer approach? Like, did it click for somebody? Do you think Mickle's like, I'm scaling off these rocks and getting into some lines?
Yeah, I wish there was more snowboarders there. It was honestly really cool. We hung out with a lot of the Free Ride World Tour, like, skiers. Forget a few of your names, but it was an amazing crew. But it was literally me and Ben were the only snowboarders there with, like, skiers, and they were like, you guys are slowing down. We were, like, riding split boards the whole week, like, walking on these glaciers all roped up, just like, this is crazy, we're switching over again. Like, but it was cool to spend time on the split board and just be in that type of environment. It was out in Zermatt. We were, like, hellying and splitboarding, like, right by the Matterhorn the whole time. So it was really cool. But yeah, I feel like Ben definitely, like, clicked it. He was saying that he did a lot of climbing and ropes work with, like, his dad when he was mad young to do some like, rock climbing and stuff. So I'm definitely a little bit nervous to see how Ben looks at terrain going into this next winter, spending a lot of time with him. And yeah, luckily, like, around here, I'm like, okay, like, let's go build some big jumps. Like, we'll be riding some shit, but, like, if we go up to Alaska, dude, that dude's gonna want to be, like, rappelling into some crazy ass panel. No, I don't know. Like,
he's gonna go Delarue.
Yeah, for sure. We were out there and we were, like, kind of panicking. It was, like, end of May and, like, full powder, and, like, we just got done with these meetings. We're gonna be filming for the project next year too, so we were like, we could just, like, panic someone out here and, like, try to film right now. There's full powder, like, end of May. Like, and he was like, yeah, this terrain's sick. Like, we could build, like, a 90-foot step down off that Serac. Like, no worries. Like, It's crazy. Like you go to Europe and hang out with these like Euro guides and they're just like down to play in the ice. Like over here in the Pacific Northwest and like being all around these glaciers here, like I feel like we're taught of like snowmobiling from point A to point B, like stay in the homie's track. Like we're learning there's just holes popping up everywhere. You don't want to go too far out of like the leader's track, you know? And out there, they're just like, oh, let's go do a wall ride on that glass blue wall. It looks beautiful. Like, and then at like 3 p.m., they're like, all right, we got to get out of here. Like, ice is falling off the fucking corner. Or like the seracs are falling everywhere. The like walls getting slushy. We can't be working in this ice anymore. Like, it's just like, what are we doing?
One extreme to the next.
Yeah.
You're like, I thought we were doing the wall ride and we were safe.
Yeah, but that was a crazy experience and really cool to end last season just like learning as much as I can. It was a bit of a slow winter last year, but tried to, stayed productive as I could. I spent a lot of time in Tahoe, so that was really cool to be down there. There's a lot of history and a lot of really cool jump spots and stuff like that.
If you're going to spend these next, I'm imagining 10, 20, 30 years, forever of your life being in the backcountry, what's your favorite way to access it? Do you prefer heli, sled, splitting?
Honestly, anyway.
You're down with all of them?
Yeah.
Equally?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
I mean, I absolutely love snowboarding. I've got like so much respect for every shredder out there, and no matter what way your journey takes you, just as long as you're having fun, I feel like that's the way to be doing it. And I'm so lucky. I've been snowboarding for so long. I'm only 24, but yeah, getting the opportunities that I'm getting right now, I got to just take every single one like with a grain of salt and just add it to the checkbook. Like I have all these like cool things from all the Avi courses that we've done and just like the books of the notes and everything, and just having those on the trips. It's like really cool sometimes to just like take a tract of like the good days, because like no matter how you enter the mountains, every day is going to throw things at you, and just, try to always make it the best day possible, because it can get turned real quick out there. The mountains are really real, and got to just have as much respect as you can for them, because they're always moving and doing crazy shit.
Yeah, I have to say that seeing you at Baldface the last couple of years at the Risk Maturity course put on by Pat Moore and Baldface, seeing how young you were when I first saw you there to now, it's like you're a student who's taking it very serious. Like you're actually there to learn.
Yeah.
Like you're pen and paper, you're asking questions, you're deep diving with the guides. You want to extract as much knowledge from these professionals as you can in the short window that you have. And seeing somebody as young as yourself take it that serious, as somebody who is older now, and I didn't get mentored that same way. Like when I was first getting in, it was like more acceptable for someone to be like, I forgot my beacon. And you're like, it's a good day. Let's go anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and now
sunny
there's
in
rules.
West, let's get up there.
Now there's rules. And you're like, that beacon actually is really important.
For sure.
And
I think it's just
kudos
like,
to you.
this new generation, I feel like, is like really taking it. Like, I feel like a little more like, or they're just like more open to the situation, you know? Like, I've learned the more time you spend out in the mountains, like the more situations you're going to get yourself into. If you're out there in the backcountry all winter long, like you're going to get into situations. So just being like prepared, like as well as you can be, I think is the smartest way to go about it. But thanks for that. I learned the hard way. You get lost on a ridgetop and get in an avalanche, and you're out for snowboarding for 8 months, you know, and first like heli trip, you know, I was just like so frothing, and then it's just like, what's up? These are the mountains and they roar, you know. So just learning as much as I can about the snow, and so much thanks, like so thankful for Baldface and Pat and everybody that is like put on that course, because like school was really hard for me and like growing up, and like that the last like almost 10 years now since my accident happened is like all I want to do is just learn about everything, and like I treat that literally as like school at the beginning of the winter, you know, like freshen up on all the tools, make sure the probe's still in contact, the shovel. You like never know when you're gonna need it, you know. So,
Totally.
Yeah,
I mean,
thanks
last
for
time
the nice words about that.
No, I it's just something that I've seen, and it's a quality that I've come to really like. I really like that about you. When I was there, I was like, this kid's not just here because Burton sent him to be here at Red Bull. It's like you're there, and you're there to learn more than. Like, I almost think that there's people there that are much older that are more there, like, not on a vacation. Everyone there is taking it serious. But when you see the younger guy take it that serious, you're like, fuck yeah, it's inspiring to, like, see how much you're wanting to absorb all that information in that little window. And so, I don't know. It's just something that I picked up on the last time we were there, and I was like, fuck, this is really sick.
Yeah, when
like,
you got your cover.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, that was a special time for me.
That place is also just so special. Like, I have been lucky enough to go up there a few times, and like every time I go up there, I just want to like stay there. Like, it's so dope.
I'm not fucking leaving.
I'm not fucking leaving. But yeah, it's like, it's just so special, and like the energy up there is crazy. Like, I like honestly like just kind of feel that everywhere in Canada. Like, it's so just like snowboardy up here in Canada. It's so sick. Like, it's really, really alive, and there's a lot of history. And yeah, Baldface is a really special place, and they do so much cool stuff, I feel like, for snowboarding. And yeah, if you're a young kid out there, definitely just go, and all I could say is just learn about it, because that little snowflake has a lot to do with what the big picture is and what you're trying to accomplish throughout the year, you know. If you find out there's a weak layer, don't go and film in that area for sure, for probably the whole year if there's a persistent or something down there deep.
This one's hard, but it's important, is to pick a good mentor, because you don't want to just look up to somebody who's reckless, and that, you know, if you pick the wrong person to look up to, there could be devastating consequences to that. For sure. But you do need a mentor, but just, you know, when you get one, you know, look at them. Have they taken a class, first aid, not specifically a bald face course, but an avalanche course? And if you need to like find a new mentor, do that before you put all your eggs in that basket. Because you don't want to look up to the wrong person when you're starting to venture into, like, you know, big mountains like in Nelson or Whistler or Banff or wherever. You know, I look at some of my mentors, and they were a little bit too loose, and I think that it's changed now, because a lot of my mentors, they have to live with not taking it serious. Yeah. And so that's the reason why they're all like, no, take it fucking serious.
Yeah. This winter, I read a few books. I was listening to, I was more so flipping along the pages, listening to the audio, because I have a hard time reading. But yeah, I listened to the Jeremy Jones book this year, and also the Craig book. Both highly suggest, if you haven't. I think they're both on Apple, iTunes, podcast or whatever, our books readings. And yeah, it's crazy listening to all the things that Jeremy talked about, because it's like there's such a time and a place. Like, you get so fed up of like, oh my gosh, like I need these clips or whatever, you know, if you're like trying to film and have this little window, and then you like almost like you like wake up in the morning, you're eating, you got to do your morning ritual, like, what's the weather doing today? What's the Avi doing? Da 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 da. But then it's like sometimes that all just like goes over the roof, because you're just like worried about getting like these shots or going out on the only blue day. And then you like look at, I think Jer had a sick graph of like the months throughout the winter, and you're good at this. Today you're like, I don't even go snowmobile until the end of January. Like, but it's real. Like the early season, I feel like the snowpack is just getting figured out, you know, like you gotta, like, it doesn't matter. There's so much time in the winter. And if there's a weird layer, like if there's weird snow, or if like if there's some crazy wind event or whatever, you know, like the real months to like really be out operating in the mountains safely, Jared was saying, was like April, May is like his go-to, like, you know, like, because there's so many days, we're so lucky we get to go snowboard so much. If you live in a town, you get to go snowboard a lot in the winter, you know, but like having those days where you're like, don't get fed up and are just like, there will be, like, listening to your gut and knowing that there will be that perfect day, hopefully down the line, like knowing when to back off is kind of like what I'm talking about. Just like letting it figure itself out, you know, because I feel like that's how you hear all of these, mountain stories, and maybe they shouldn't have been out there that day, you know. Like I was out filming like the 18th or 19th of April, you know, out in Wiss. It was like starting to heat up pretty crazy, you know, big cornice like popped off, you know, like that was just like, I don't really want to be operating in that time, you know. That's why, like, that time I've been lucky enough to go up to AK a little bit, and like up there is when you should be. That's the last place of the winter that's like holding cold snow, you know, like it's pretty powdery. I mean, you can have late days here and stuff, but like I feel like just being in the right place at the right time is like something that you want to try to get good at too. I don't know.
You know
I'm
what?
like rambling.
No, not at all. I think I agree with what you're saying. I think that a lot of people too often try to extract a moment from the mountains when it's not the right moment to extract that from. So you want the magical pow day because you booked the trip 3 months ago,
exactly.
And you're there, and you're like, but I want the good pow day. But the report says that, you know, avalanche conditions are high, and you got to take that day off. And it sucks because you're not going to be back there till next year, or maybe you're never going to be back. But there will be good days ahead as long as you just, you know, avoid the bad ones. And I think there's a big difference between what I would say somebody who's a great snowboarder to someone who's like a top level pro expert, a guru, a mentor. And I look at somebody like Razman over the last 10, 15 years. Chris was always the eager, keen one when we first started going.
Yeah, for sure.
Not that he was clueless, but he just wasn't as educated. And now I see Chris read the report in the morning and going to his huge step down that he wants to hit.
Yeah.
And he read the whole report, and he was like northeast facing or wind loaded. And he's like, today's not the day for that step down. Pulls the plug, doesn't even hit it. It's full blue. It's the snow is sparkling. It is calling for it. But he read the report. He's so good at just being like, it's not the day for it. Pulls out his lunch, eats it on his snowmobile, heads home, doesn't bitch and complain about it.
Yeah.
I've taken a lot from Chris in the last 5 years or so, just seeing him pull himself off things when it's not the day for it.
Yeah.
And when it's the day for it, he wants
going.
to fucking go. Like,
for sure.
But it's really inspiring to see somebody that I look up to like that be like, you know what, today's not the day. And there's going to be a great day ahead, but there might not be if I go right now. And you have to listen to your gut and combine that with actually, you know, digesting and being able to read and digest the reports.
Yeah, you just nailed it on the coffin. That was what I was trying to get to, and because it's crazy, man. If you do a little Abbey course or whatever, you know, and you hear these stories of like how the mountains operate, like it happens. Like I've been out on resorts where you're like cutting through the trees and like you see this thing just propagate like 15, 20 feet. You're like, that's why I'm on the resort today. I'm just like middle of the trees though. And like some Joe Schmo could have just went left here and like done that and fully gotten taken off the feet. Or we're out in a little jump zone, you know, and like I've seen it just full like whoomphing, cracking, going so far. Like, dude, the mountains are alive. Like the snow is crazy and the snowpack is always changing. It's crazy. So yeah, definitely knowing when to back off is like a huge thing. And yeah, I feel like I've like seen Raz do that before out here, where like days we all just like end up on the lake and we're just like, it's fucked, like winter's over or whatever, you know, because that last little bit of April, everyone's just like trying to get out there and get everything in just because that's what we were taught to do, I guess. No, I don't know.
Get your 4-minute part.
Yeah.
Get a cover.
For sure.
But yeah, then you get out there with like a good group of people that are all getting educated like you and your crew are. And then through conversation, you're like, no, today is the day. Yeah. Like we read the reports. Today's the day that we're going to go ride that big face, or today's not the day. You know, you're not setting yourself up for success if you aren't adding new polished tools to your tool belt. Avalanche stuff is getting better, and there is new information, and there's better conversations, and if you live in a smaller town, but it's still a resort place, like there's probably a get together at the beginning of the year.
100%.
That's like a backcountry safety and combined with a first aid, I want to add the first aid element in that because I think that's really important. And the combination of the two, like you don't want to just take an avalanche course and not think that you need a first aid course out there. If your friend hits a rock or knees himself in the face, because you're going to feel like a fucking idiot if, you know.
And dude, it happens like so quick and easy. Like, I don't know.
It happened to
it's
you.
It's just like everyone is like, oh yeah, let's go out, let's start filming backcountry, whatever. It's mad easy. Let's go block up a jump. You get there, you're like, damn, I need to go snowmobile all the way up into this zone, and now, okay, I want to build this jump, but I want to make this jump look at least like somewhat all right. Oh damn, now there's 8 blocks later, or like. Damn, there's like, I actually had to board scrape the piss out of that for this little ass step down or whatever, you know, like if you're looking for like some one-off features, like it's just insane. Like it's so much harder out there. Like it's so challenging to go out there and get a really good clip that you're like psyched on. And
so
like,
hard.
I feel like, that you see these kids like in the park that like want to go out there and learn about it and do it, and then they go out and build a jump, and then you realize like, damn, it's not a part, like Charles Beckinsale ain't grooming this in run for me. Like, damn, this is actually really hard. Like, I don't know, out here in Wiss, you have so many like days that are just like, oh, it's gonna be cloudy, and you wake up, you're like, oh my gosh, it's sunny, we have to go, or whatever. Or you're like out there, it's like, oh, it's gonna be full blue, and then you get out there and the clouds come in. Like the weather's just changing so much on this coastal range that it's challenging. You like can't go out there to build like like if you're trying to go hit a huge jump or whatever, if that's like your if that's what you're going out to do for the day, you know, like you can't really go here and like build a huge kicker the night before, because like the next day you're waking up, even if it says it's a 3-day window of sun, you're waking up the next day, there's probably gonna be some like coastal cloud eddy weird shit going on.
Yeah, Rusty's really good at that. He's like the time. He always says like he doesn't specifically say this, but he's always like the time is now. Like if the conditions are good, you do now. You go now, unless you know there's obviously a certain point of the day. Let's say it's earlier in the season. If it's hitting around that 3-4 o'clock window and it's late December, it's time to go home. And that pushes every month. You get an extra hour out of the day.
Yeah, me and Mikey C were talking about that yesterday. Like it's crazy. Knowing like you got to know your times. You can't be sitting there playing Rosham or about to go ride this line at like 3 p.m., 4 p.m. in January, like up here. Like
it gets
the odds
the
of
winter
you, like,
gets the winter is so cold in January too. Like the nights, the temperature drop by the time you get to the parking lot and the sun goes down, drops like 10 degrees.
Yeah.
And it goes from like, oh, my damp glove is actually completely frozen solid.
Yeah, like last year we just went up Brome for like one of those first days. It was like me, Bo Bishop, Raz, and Rince. Came up, we're like leaving the zone at like 3:45, 4 p.m. It's like full sunset, and we just like come up on this sledder, chilling there in the open, like just in that like top crossing in Brome. Homie's just like laying there in the snow, and I was like, oh my god, we're like going full situation right now. And then
what happened?
Yeah, like this, he like broke his back, and then that's when like Raz and Bo went like right into gearing the dude up. Like Rince went up to the ridge called the heli. I like ripped down to the warming hut, got those dudes down there. Bunch of like sled neckers, kind of like all boozed up, had some beers in the day. He's like, what is actually going on up there? I was like, dude, we're 4 snowboarders. We were just out for a cruisy day. We were hitting a hip, came back. This dude's laying there. Like, we're all pretty fresh off the Avi course like 2-3 weeks ago. Like, he's getting warm, but we need to like, you guys need to start getting up there because the heli is probably not coming in. And the heli like landed at like 5:15 or like 5:30, and like it was the gnarliest shit. I was like at the head, saw this homie go into shock within like 2 seconds, because like when search and rescue got there or whatever, you like log rolled the dude, and then they had to like take all of our tarps and everything off of him, and then they like put him on the backboard, and we're just like, it just snowed like a meter. It snowed like 3 feet. It was that psycho deep day we had. And so the heli was like blowing all this snow around everywhere, and it was just like, the dude was like, this is going to be fast, dirty, and we got to just get him in the bird. And like, it was crazy. Like, so that's what we like went
and
had
saved
a good,
that guy's life.
Yeah, he hit up Mikey later that night and was just like, yep, like, broken back. Thank you guys so much for like all you've done. Like you literally saved my life. Like thanks for getting me off of there. Like should have just left with my homies 45 minutes earlier or whatever, you know, like
He stayed up solo.
yeah, he stayed up. It was like going down Sunset, and he said he was just like going for a couple riffs because, dude, it was like one of the deepest sled days I've ever had. It was literally the first snowstorm Sunday, full blue, like just classic. We knew, like Mikey was like, we're not going anywhere. We're going up to Brome. We're doing yeehaws. Bo and Raz are coming. It's gonna be a chill ass day. Like. Couple GoPro chow reports, like, and we were just chilling, having such a fun yeehaw. It was mid-January. It was right after that Abbey course out in Baldface, and I came
So
here.
a 5:15 heli is like they're cutting
Dude,
the wire.
it was
there.
like dark. It was gnarly, and like the heli flew right to the coordinates, and he was like kind of hovering over by us because our coordinates were a little off, and then he like came back over, landed, and it was just shit flying everywhere. Like it's so crazy out there. You get into the craziest situations, so go out there and get yourself learned, because
Well said.
like yeah, just the more times you spend in the mountains, the more shit it's gonna happen, you know. And just operating safe out there is the number one thing. But
When we were hitting the man boy jump or whatever that I think you got a back 10 on it.
I love that jump.
Yeah. So
that jump is sick.
I did a cab 3, landed, and then in the compression I like tacoed.
Yeah.
And so I tacoed in the compression, and then my board flipped over my back, and I broke my back on that jump.
Uh-huh.
And we called a heli, and the heli got the slightly wrong coordinates, and I believe it was Rusty it was chasing the helicopter with my sled because it was so late to get the heli. It started off as like, okay, Jody kind of broke his back. It's early enough in the day. We're all good. Like, we're going to get a heli. You're going to get out of here. To the heli taking way longer than we thought.
Dude,
to me laying on the ground, and then I could feel myself getting hypothermia. I was like, oh, I'm starting to like freeze.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't that cold of a day, but it was still pretty cold. But because I wasn't elevated enough, and we hadn't really, I don't think anyone had taken the Baldface course yet, and we didn't really know how fast that you can, when you stop moving and you're in shock, how quickly like your body temperature drops. And it's just tanking, going down, down, down. And Rusty had to chase the heli, saw the heli, and then led him back to us, luckily, because I think they might have even been like leaving, like because they just didn't know where we were for long enough.
That's crazy.
And we had no reception, so they couldn't call between the two. Like, yeah, you want to be as dialed as you can out there. And snowmobiling alone is fucked. What is that guy doing? Like, POW day, snowmobiling?
He was like hitting a jump too, or like he was like hitting this little jump.
Like,
he's like, I tried to hit this jump and I landed on this wall, like in this hill. Like it's crazy. You come across all these crazy people out there in the mountains, but this isn't. I'm not trying to go and scare people. Like it's just real. It's just real shit. Like
we're talking real shit.
The mountains are crazy, and that's why all you can do is like learn about them. Because you hear about all these crazy situations for sure. That is
Chalk up Cicerelli for 2. He's saved 2 lives. His first year, him and Miskimen. Saved
that was
a
crazy
life in Rainbow, and then he just did another one. Mikey C, just the guardian angel of the sea to sky.
Nice.
Legend, though.
One of the sweetest kids you could ever meet.
Yeah, he is a good kid. That is for sure. Maybe changing gears here for a quick moment. I got 8 questions presented by Ashbury Goggles. They're kind of just random, but I think they'll give some people some insight to you. Your favorite artist at 16, 17. Music.
When I was 16 or 17?
Yeah. 8 years ago.
Oh, man, I was...
Kind of music.
Just rap, for sure. Just like... 2016 was a crazy time for me, dude.
Let's hear. What kind of rap?
I don't know. Just Travis was, I feel like, going off then.
Travis Scott was sick. I like Travis Scott.
Yeah, I don't know. I like all music. I did so many drives from San Diego to 395 with my parents when I was a young kid. When I was with my mom, I'd be listening to country. Her whole family's from like Minnesota. My dad's more of like a Leonard Skinner, Led Zeppelin, like real good music, I would say. Like
The classics.
Yeah,
the
a
Eagles.
lot of like good, just like sitting there looking at him, just like losing his mind, going over the whoop-de-doos, like 3 hours from LA, 3 hours from Mammoth, just like singing out of his skin. But yeah, I always thought like rap got me pretty juiced up when I was out there competing or whatever.
Oh, is that what you would listen to when you dropped in?
Kinda, yeah. Kind of just some of that mainstream.
Yeah, totally. Like
bullshit.
Drake, pop star, let's go. That song's sick.
Yeah.
First concert.
Oh, dude, this is crazy. YG in LA. I was like 14 or 15, went up there with some of my best friends at the time. Yeah, the Marshall family. Jake Marshall, he's on the world tour. Super dope, homie.
Surf?
Yeah, go tune in. WSL Fiji coming up in a little bit. Watch the boy. But yeah, we went up to LA and went to a YG. It was like YG, Big Sean. It was like a kind of like a music festival. Like they all were like kind of on a tour or whatever. I think like, I don't know. But there was like
That
a bunch
crew.
of like gangs there, like gang members and stuff. It was crazy. Because like, I think YG was in like the Bloods or the Crips or something. And everyone there was just wearing like mad red. And it was just really crazy scene. And like, yeah, but that was super cool. That's like, I love live music. It's so dope.
Yeah, I definitely like going to a good concert. Favorite subject in school and least favorite subject in school?
Physical education, PE. That's what
The way
I
you
tell
said
my
that was
people.
so good.
School was so damn hard for me, honestly, but I always loved going out to run the mile or whatever, go out, play some baseball.
You mentioned a couple times here that you weren't the best at school or whatever. Did you ever get like insecure about that, or did you never give a fuck?
Yeah, a little bit. Honestly, like I would get like pulled out of like class because I think I had like my mom just told me this like not long ago that I had some ADHD, but they like didn't want to prescribe me Adderall or whatever at like such a young age.
Same.
Yeah, so like school was mad hard. We would get in the test room and they'd be like, all right, 50 questions, circle A, B, C, D, or E. And I would just look at it and be like, cool. Can't wait for my dad to pick me up at 2:30. Gonna go beach, like hopefully go to the skate park, do some homework. Like that was in like 4th grade, like 6th grade. Like that's what I was thinking about. So yeah, I would get taken out. They started learning. They were like, wow, so Brock, you're not doing good on any of the tests, but like you're here. So yeah, they would like take me out and I would start doing like the test and stuff like that with the teacher, like one-on-one. She would have to read me the questions and I would like tell her in a sentence of like what I thought the answer was. And then she would like write out whatever the answer. I don't know. It was really cool. They helped me out a lot. Like I'm so lucky. I went to a little private school down in San Diego and they helped me from kindergarten till 8th or 9th grade. And they would let me go to school, and then once January hit, like, fire drill?
Drop it 30 degrees.
Just trying to talk some shit, man.
Okay, so
Do you know
False-
what we were talking about there?
no idea, but I'll tell the audience what happened. So there was a drywaller upstairs cutting tiles with no ventilation. He also wasn't wearing a mask because I could see that his mouth was covered in drywall dust. And I was like, dude, like rogue play. Anyways,
He goes, it's just drywall up there.
then this happened. But we're back.
Guys, Jody almost lost all of this amazing
All
snowboard
my life.
content
Yeah, dude.
in here. Holy smokes.
That would have sucked. Fuck, what were we talking about? So we'll just the questions.
Oh, yeah, we were
presented
in
by
the
Ashbury.
questions.
We did favorite artist, first concert, favorite subject, least favorite, and then we're gonna do.
Oh, I didn't say least favorite. I think that's what I was getting to.
Oh,
Least favorite, all you math geniuses out there, go you. I don't know how you add up all these numbers and stuff like that when you're learning all this crazy algebra and all this other crazy shit. That was really hard for me. That's for sure.
All right, who was your favorite surfer growing up?
Whoa, nice question. Holy smokers. I don't know. It's kind of a crazy thing because like John's been kind of ruling the world ever since I was a little kid. But like if you don't have respect for Kelly Slater, that's kind of crazy. But honestly, like one of my favorite surfers, and now has kind of became somewhat of a friend. I ride his surfboards, but Rob Machado, he did it pretty dope. He like did the whole competing thing, was like going for the title with Kelly or whatever, did that weird high five thing at Pipeline. And there's this weird mystery thing that like Kelly went back out to get priority with a few minutes left to win the world title, and Rob like high-fived him after just getting a dope wave. And then that like ended that, and then he just went to like Bali and filmed the Drifter. And when I was a kid, I remember watching that when I was like 8 or 10, and that was like the first surf film that like after someone was on the world tour or whatever, Rob went down to Bali and was just like off grid, like just cruising around, surfing perfect waves, getting filmed, and just like living like on a moped, camping around through Bali. Like mad respect to that.
That is a wicked chapter because he did the first one, which is the contest world.
Yeah.
And then the second, similar to what you're doing, contest world, a bit of the backcountry. I imagine in the future the contest will dissipate and you'll still be out in the mountains in Nelson or wherever.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. All right, favorite skater growing up?
Oh, favorite skater. Damn, I grew up in a pretty crazy skate town, that's for sure. I was a skate rat. I didn't really start surfing until I was probably 10 to 12 years old. So I was a skate kid the whole growing up chapter. But yeah, there's all sorts of crazy good skaters out there. Dude, I always thought Danny Way was pretty savage. Bob Burnquist, Dreamland. I straight watch that when I'm like making breakfast sandwiches and drinking coffee at 5 a.m. before going out into the field. Like Dreamland gets me inspired. Like the year we were filming Beta with like Gabe Ferg and Nick Baden and Jared and all those kids, we would like go and literally just watch that movie. Like watch that 9-minute part like of him just demoing his mega ramp with like helicopters.
Oh yeah, like the rainbow rail and the quarter pipe stalls.
It's just psycho. So yeah, Bob Burnquist, Danny Way, like PLG. I got to go to a couple like summer X Games as a kid because it was in LA, and I was there when PLG flew out into the flats. Was that him, right? And then like Danny Way broke his ankle on the coping. Like, dude, crazy ass shit that those dudes have been through hitting that mega ramp. Mad respect. I got mad respect.
You're a big vert guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried to be. I was like, tranny's so much nicer. I could imagine trying to go kickflip down a 15 stair. You're like, oh yeah, ACL, MCL, they'll love that shit. But yeah, I've gotten to grow up skating the YMCA in Encinitas, and was always skating the vert ramp, and got to hit Elliot Salone's little like mini mega ramp. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I feel like
that was
I don't know if I saw that on Instagram.
Yeah, I went
ago.
through like a 4-day phase of just like skating Elliot. Thank you, Elliot, for letting me skate that, because you like probably always get people hitting you up and like, yeah, I can hit your jump, just let me hit it. But like, he was the dog. He like gave me bushings that were like mad stiff, like the mega bushings, and I was straight up like skating that. Like I like got myself into a battle with a front 3 over like the gap. But like, yeah, just got mad bodied. Like, then I got to a point where I was like, what are you doing, dude? Like, you're like skating this mini mega ramp, like mandatory, like 6 to 10 foot, like frontside air after it. Cause I'm not too good at backside airs, but yeah, I love skateboarding. It was cool growing up in California, just, getting all the realms, growing up surfing and skating was definitely made me into like the snowboarder and how I look at terrain, I feel like today, for sure.
Yeah, between the three, like snowboarding, skateboarding, and surfing, you can see that they all kind of complement each other. And that's why I think you have one of the best styles, for sure. Definitely. Snowboarder growing up.
Favorite snowboarder growing
Just
up?
a snowboarder that was inspiring for you in your youth.
Oh man, I have so many. It's insane. Everyone is super inspiring. Like I was saying at the beginning, like got so much respect for every aspect of snowboarding and try to take it all in just because everyone's doing dope shit these days. I feel like whether it be a street movie, backcountry movies, park or whatever, like the park riding nowadays is insane. But ever since I was a little kid, I have to give all of where I'm at to this point. Dave Downing has always had my back. If any of you guys don't know, check out some of the old TB movies. He was putting down some sick stuff in Tahoe. And him and my dad were somehow got connected and were really good friends. And Dave's just had my back ever since the beginning and got me to start working with Burton when I was like 7 years old. So it was crazy. Like that dude has done so much for my snowboard career. And if I ever have any questions, I always reach out to him. And then, since then they've became some of my best friends. But Danny Davis and Mark, just how their drive is to snowboarding and just like wanting people to be stoked on snowboarding and being some of the best to ever do it at the half pipe scene and the slopestyle scene. And then they're just so naturally gifted that they can go out in the backcountry and they've went that way and can kind of just do whatever they want. But yeah, then when I was growing up in Mammoth, like E-Jack, John Jay, like Keegan Valeka was there a bunch. Tyler Flanagan had a huge role model on my slopestyle style, I would say, of how he did. His dad was my coach. So yeah, just trying to take in as much as I possibly can. And I've been with Olivia for like a year and a half now, and just seeing all the old Craig footage and stuff is really cool. And yeah, every time I look at footage of snowboarding, I just try to get inspired by how people look and just read terrain. It's a really cool thing. You can really always be learning if your mind's open to it, for sure.
Has your perspective changed at all from, you said you've been dating Olivia Kelly, Craig Kelly's daughter, for almost 2 years now. Has that shaped you in your riding and maybe your approach to life or whatever?
I love her so much, and it's it's a really cool, special thing. Her and her mom are so amazing, and I've learned since then of just like being so just like contained with what is the present, like I've learned that she is just like so down to earth and is just wants the best for everything. But also like there's nights where you just are looking at this old footage and stuff like that, and you're seeing all of this really cool content, and I just want to like learn, about like how he was as an individual. I have definitely gone like spending a bit more time up at the lodge. I definitely have, like, this last year, 2 year and a half, I've been like, damn, like, I definitely could see myself going to try. I really want to be like a guide at some point, like the next step. Like, I just love the mountains so much. She's just such a go-getter, and she loves splitboarding when we're up at the lodge. It's so nice doing the course or a trip or whatever. You get back to the lodge, and we always try to split up to the cross to just have a nice sunset and just enjoy the mountains, because it's so cool. And the thing that's so rad is that she's from Nelson, so like spending time, I haven't really even surfed that much this summer. Like, I was just in Nelson for like 8 to 10 days, and just like being up in the mountains in the summer is also good namaste juju vibes, I feel like, because they roar in the summertime too. The lightning came in a few days ago and just started up so many fires. So yeah, it's just such a lively environment to always be giving respect back to the mountains and just learning as much as you can about them.
Totally. Craig Kelly's approach, what about that inspires you? I feel like there's some similarities that I draw between the two of you.
Yeah, those guys back in the day, it seemed like we're just so, like, dude, snowboarding back in the day was like crazy. I was just talking to Jeff about it in Baldface, or out in Nelson. Is like, he was like, dude, if someone didn't like you in the scene back in the day, like you would go out that night and you'd get fucked up by that dude. Like that dude would fight you, you know? Like he was like just telling me like stories like that, you know? And like it seemed like he was a very respectable individual. He dealt with all the things that I've seen is like the Sam's Burton thing. Seemed like a crazy situation, you know, but he had a lot of faith, I guess, in Jake, you know, to but to go out there and create the best product that you could possibly do. You know, you hear Jake and all these movies talking about how Craig was an innovator and stuff like that, and I think that he did have. I see like a lot of what I've seen and heard of like that, those things in Danny too, you know, like Danny just cares about like how a snowboard rides. He cares about like making good product and just having good boots and just being comfortable in the mountains. And I feel like back in the day, like, yeah, Craig like had all of that stuff pretty damn dialed to help Jake get Burton to where it is in a sense, you know, not today, but like in the early 90s, like or late 90s, like early 2000s when this sport was like booming, you know, like Craig was getting older and Jake was doing this shit since like 77. So like it's crazy. I feel like those two work together so well that they like created this pretty big brand, you could say, nowadays. And yeah, I am lucky enough to ride Burton, and it's some of the best gear, you know, just the Gore-Tex and the gloves and the boots. They seem to have it pretty figured out. So I think that's what was always so cool about Burton is just they really try to build that like relationship with you as an individual to always try to be try to improve the gear and improve that style of things. But yeah, but the riding like that he did, you know, was really, really cool and really beautiful. I thought, you know, really surfer style. The old, everything old snowboarding, I feel like was so dope. Like from the like early 90s, 2000s when they were like had these sick like surfy styles, crazy stances, starting to get into all this crazy colorful gear, but it was like kind of baggy. And then it was like early 2000s, mid 2000s. I was like already snowboarding then, but like I remember just wearing like mad baggy shit. Like it just like as baggy as it could be. And I feel like, yeah, in that realm, it was cool. Probably would have been so sick to be a teenager in those years, like I mean, you probably were early 90s, late 2000s, right? Or
Yeah.
late 90s, sorry.
Yeah, teenager, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, respect. I wish I could have gotten to spend a lot more time with Jake. He flew out to the West Coast when I got in that accident and came and had dinner with me and my family, and brought Sparky and them, and we got some special times for sure. And yeah, definitely just talking to Savina and I definitely would have loved to meet Craig, but yeah, shit happens, you know, and that's what we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast, you know, is the thing, like the mountains are just so alive and it could take you down whenever it wants to, you know, and he passed doing something that he absolutely loved. And if I passed in that avalanche, I would have been doing everything that I absolutely loved.
I feel like there's a click between you and I. You know, you're dating Olivia. You never got the opportunity to meet Craig, but you love his daughter. And I have with Chelsea, my now wife, her dad Mark passed before I came into the picture. Mm-hmm. And there was always like a sense of like when things would get tough between us or they'd be really good, I'd always kind of like, I don't know if I'd talk to him or just like more think towards him or like some sort of energy or whatever and be like, you know, I know I'm dating your daughter. Like, I hope I'm like doing you proud. Mm-hmm. Just knowing that at the wedding when all of her uncles and aunts and family were like, he'd be really proud of you. For sure. It's like, that means a lot because he's as a father figure to never, like he can never say that to you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But like if you're dating his daughter, it's like, you know, you want Craig to be looking down and being like, hell yeah, that's the man that's with my daughter. And I feel like it's almost like, I don't want to say a burden, but there's like a responsibility that comes with that, I feel like.
she's so fortunate. She got to grow up there at that lodge life venue, and
Totally.
yeah, it's a really cool thing. And there's a lot of people that play a father figure in her life, you know.
That's a better word.
But also seeing those people, dude. The first time I went up to the lodge, that we were like actually dating. Like that was like, I think that wasn't last year when you were there, but the year before for the Avi course. And I was like sitting there and like Joaquin and Dim and like Buff, dude. Like Buff was giving me some eyes that I was just like, holy smokes. Like,
Yeah, totally.
so,
You're not
know,
just getting in the club, you know what I mean? You got to
So
earn your stripes.
It's awesome now getting to hang in Nelson and hang with Buff and all those dudes. They all are such a father figure to her, and it's a really cool, special thing. But I do feel you there. Like, dude, this year up in Alaska, I was like having this crazy toe in and was like so just spooked and just out of my room. I was like looking at the pilot. I was like, I can't get my board. Like, you got to move forward a little. Got my board up on this run in between these huge cornices. And I was just like, this one's for you. Oh, and Craig. Like, it was just like, it's cool. You know, it's really a special thing. But I'm not in love with her because of that, you know? It's like she is the chillest girl ever and is so down to earth, rips, grew up snowboarding up at the lodge, like grew up riding really good terrain in Nelson. So that's the best. Like having a lady that's not really in the scene but is so down and knows like what a snowboarder lifestyle is, just with growing up with the Carpenters and stuff like that, is like, she's just nothing but supportive. And yeah, when it's a waist deep pow day on the resort, like popping through the trees, I'm like, oh shit, like you got to slow down a little. Like your lady's right behind you. Like you're in the trees. Whether I stop, I look up, she's just right there, like waiting for me. She's like, where are we going at? You want me to clip you up on this little cliff down here? Like, it's so rad. So like, yeah, we got a super good thing going. And yeah, it's crazy. It's ever since the first day I went up to the lodge. I went up there for that Turning Man event that Danny Davis had quite some years ago, and she was working. That was like 2018. It was like the week or two before my accident, and that's when I met her. She was working at the check-in, and I was like, damn, that girl is super cute. And yeah, I asked like Gabe and Jer, and they're like, that's Olivia. Like, I was like, no way. Like, that girl is so beautiful. And then, yeah, 3-4 years ago down the road, and she was going to school in Van. I was up here right before COVID started, and that's when we kind of started hanging out. I was driving down to Van. Like, I was like looking at the weather. I was like, hey, it's going to be shitty. I'm going down to Vancouver. Like, and we would just go on walkabouts, and yeah. Now it's gotten us to here, and we get to travel around, and it's awesome. My parents absolutely love her, and so that's super cool, and I absolutely love her and her fam.
Since the first day I ever saw you two together, I'm like, damn, that's a good couple. Like, it seems genuine, and it seems like it just
spread off the love.
It just
vibe.
Works. Yeah, totally. I just got off a marriage, so you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm feeling the love, but
For
like,
sure. It's a good thing.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's a great thing. It's fragile. You know what I mean? It's like riding in the mountains. There's some beauty to it because you know that, I don't know, it comes with some, I don't want to say darkness, but there's two sides to that coin. Mm-hmm. And another thing is, it's not forever. Yeah. Like, that relationship that you have with that person isn't forever. I mean, you hope that it's for eternity and like an afterlife or something like that. Like, who doesn't want to hang out with their brothers and sisters and friends and dogs and stuff like that in an afterlife? Yeah. But the one thing that you have that is concrete and guaranteed is the moment you have right now while you're with that person. But even then,
living in the present is definitely super key.
Did that avalanche put that in perspective for you when you're under the snow?
For sure. Sitting there and you're like, this could be it. Like, you're like, I got this crew. They're going to come get me. I got this transceiver on. I really hope that thing's beeping, But yeah, dude, yeah, that whole situation was the biggest eye-opening experience that has ever hit me face to face, like in my life. Like, till you realize you break your back, like that shit is gnarly. Like you move an arm, or like you try to like sit up off a chair, or anything your body does to move. I mean, you get it. Broke your back on Man Boy Gap. Like, you're sitting I was in a hospital for a week or whatever, and then you're like, cool, let's walk out of here. They're like, you're not leaving the hospital until you walk up this 15 flights of stairs. And I was like, what? Like, there's no way, So yeah, and then they also say that like breaking your back is one of the most like emotional bones you could break in your body, just because there's so much stuff going on. So that was a really hard time, but yeah, you learn so much about, once an injury hits you, you learn a lot about like if you really care about this sport. And the first thing I remember asking my nurse was, when can I snowboard again? She's like, you got 7 to 9 months for sure. I was like, oh damn, all right, that's a little bit. But yeah, that taught me everything that I know till about now, 24 years of age, that the snow likes to move. And I've seen a lot of I see avalanches, like if I'm getting into a line with the crazy cornice around me, like people ask me, they're like, you all good about this, da 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 da, it's just the more time instead of making it this big burden on my shoulder, people, I went to these crazy, I wasn't sleeping for a while doing these PTSD classes and stuff like that, like going to get help because I was just having gnarly dreams and stuff. And then, right when I got healthy, heard about the bald face class, went to bald face, and ever since then have just been trying to learn as much as I can. And now, have all due respect for this and love getting to operate in the mountains with the Burton team and anyone else that wants to go out there on a crazy trip. I'm pretty down.
After that avalanche and you get to the hospital, you rehab, you get better, did you have like a new profound appreciation for life?
Yeah, it was the biggest wake-up call of your life, you hear about all these things that happen in the mountains, and you're like, wow, the one way you could really die out in the mountains is an avalanche, crevasse, or a big old tree well, and then you're sitting there, boom, snows all over you. Like it happens, like, and since then, like I'm lucky enough with everything I've learned, like I've gotten caught up in sloughs and shit like that, like the mountains are moving. When we're doing turns down these big long runs, sloughs can gather up to be big, like they'll rip you off your feet quick and could toss you and bury you for sure. But I think just learning as much as I can from that situation is definitely a huge thing, and having that person in the crew that you have a lot of trust in is something that I learned was super key in that situation. Like I didn't get to go out and work and operate with John Jay ever really in the mountains, but I remember as a young kid watching that guy. I watched every single one of that dude's videos parts, like every single night growing up in Mammoth. I would turn on every forum movie and just flip through every forum movie that they had. Like I had all the DVDs, and so yeah, when that shit all happened, I just was like, John Jay, like you're coming, like come with me, whatever. Like I tried to move. I remember it was like, holy shit, my back's so broken. And John didn't leave my side until I remember seeing my parents down in Vancouver, So having that person that you trust, like seriously, I think kept me like alert enough because I was like had some head trauma and stuff. But having that person to like come with you in the heli and like having someone talking to you, like that shit felt like 15 minutes, but it was like 2-3 hours. Like I remember laying in the bird, they're like 20 minutes out to the airport, 15 minutes out, 10 minutes out. I was like, this is going by like so slow. I'm about to die back here. Like I don't ever want to be in a heli, like looking up at the top on a backboard. It's the most comfortable shit ever. But like having that person in the crew, like John, Sheen, Cam, Mark Tremblay, those dudes were all like so on it. Hosnick was over on another ridge. But yeah, just being in a crew, like I got a call from Red Bull and they were like, hey, we have this opportunity for you to be in a bird late year in Pemberton, you know, like, of course, you're a kid. I was 18 years old trying to go out and push my snowboarding, you know, and then all of a sudden I'm in a helicopter with John Jay. I'm like, I'm going off any fucking cliff that comes in front of my eyes. Like, I got to ride out of my shoes, bro. This is John Jackson. Like, this dude is a hog. Like, this is my idol, you know? Like, dude, literally, like, growing up in Mammoth was like Mason Aguirre, Danny D, Big Son, aka E-Jack, John Jay, T-Flan, Keegan Valeka, Spencer Link, like all these dudes that were just like in Mammoth. Like that's all I knew. I was in Mammoth from like 2005 we moved up there till like 2012. I was just like there January till April doing the USASA shit. And that's... Yeah, shout out to Mammoth Mountain. They definitely made me the snowboarder who I am today, and it's pretty cool to see all the snowboarders that have come from there and turned into what they are today, you know. E-Jack and John, their spot down in Crowley's beautiful. Like they've got that shit dialed. It's really cool.
You mentioned some Mammoth riders there that inspire you. Maybe who are some riders right now currently that, you know, you're like, that homie's approach is inspiring?
Oh man, there's so many. It's insane. Yeah, honestly, I've been getting into this whole like big mountain shit, as you could call it or whatever. And so I honestly right now I'm in this huge phase of just watching all the TB, like the old TB shit, like Noah Salaz, Johan, those dudes, like style. They also didn't give a flying F, it seemed like, compared to the lines that like they're riding compared to like what line riding is now. Like I feel like it's 2024 and people are like trying to do these like crazy tricks and stuff like that midway down the line, you know? Like back then, like you fly around Valdez and some of the shit that those dudes were riding is like psycho. Like they're literally doing like 600 turns down their like runs, you know? Like those dudes didn't give a fuck. They were flying till like 9-10 p.m. eating boomers in the heli. Like they were just
smoking
like,
bongs.
Yeah, smoking low. They'd be like, oh, you bringing out the bong today out into the field? Let's go up there on the Shoup Glacier, fucking bong that thing out. But no, I think, yeah, I love watching all the old stuff. Still to this day, like I got to spend a couple days this winter in Tahoe with John Jay and E-Jack, which was psycho. Like E-Jack and his homie, the filmer Connor, were like, they were chilling at the Airbnb for like a week, and then he bailed, and then a few days later my dad came up, and he always like goes out sledding like a few times a year with Downing, and then Downing, my dad and John Jay linked up and then came out to like a jump session that me and Mark were having. It was like the craziest day I've like ever had. It was so sick. Like it was insane. We had like 2 or 3 jumps built, Pops, John Jay, Downing, like 3 of like my biggest inspirations in life. Like just pull up. I'm like about to hit this pretty big jump in Tahoe. Probably like one of the bigger jumps I hit all last winter. And yeah, it was really cool to see those dudes out there. And yeah, I mean, dude, I got so much respect just for all the snowboarders, you know, all the stuff that's happened up here. You know, Mikey Rentz, huge shout out. That dude has helped me out hugely, just whether it be snowmobiling or showing me amazing terrain up here. And yeah, Solars, all you boys, thank you guys for letting us come up here to film. It's so magical. So yeah, just seeing all the different crews in snowboarding to me is like pretty cool. You know, I wish there was a thing where we could all like come together more and do like this big ass like event. Like right now they got the Crankworks week going on. We're doing the Chill tournament tomorrow. But yeah, just seeing like the whole mountain bike community here is pretty crazy. Like Cam McCall's just chilling outside, walking around. Carsey, there's like so many people. So I wish we had a little bit more of that, because it is a weird thing. You know, there's definitely, you could say, cliquey crews in snowboarding. I feel like, you know, you like go to these places and you're like, I feel so out of my like element or my realm right now because all my homies aren't here, you know, and I like don't want that person, like I feel like that person's maybe like talking shit or whatever, you know, like there's just a bunch of that weird shit going on, which is pretty whack. But
I think that a lot of times you're thinking about what other people are thinking about you.
Yeah.
And they're thinking the same thing. But I think from my experience, when you're 20 to 28, you're overthinking what people said, how they looked, you're in your head. At my age, it feels like a lot of those people that I once thought, you know, maybe we aren't on the same page, you hang out with later in life and you're like, oh, they were just as in their head. Like Forrest Bailey's a great example for me. Like when I was really young, he came to camp. We hit it off. I didn't see him for a long time. And then I stayed in Whistler, and then I felt like when we would like see each other at Super Park, it just got like a bit like, I was like, oh, do you like me? Do you not like me? Not even specifically him, but just for context.
No, yeah, shit happens.
And then now that all of those snowboarders have gotten older, it's like when we see each other, it's almost like you graduated high school with all these people, and now you're all in real life, and they have kids, and they have some of the, and a lot of people are going through life stuff, and you've all been through life stuff, and when you see those people again, it's just like that whole whatever it is, that imaginary wall or whatever that you once constructed is kind of has disintegrated over the years, and now you're just everybody now.
Because then there's also
older,
this weird thing
chill.
too, where you're like, damn, this person is so dope, I follow this person or whatever, and then you like are at this function with everybody, or whether it be a movie premiere or whatever, and then you like go to like meet the person, and you're like, I know who you are, you know? Or like, you know, when you like get into that situation and you're like, I've got so much respect for you, you're a fucking great boarder, you're so dope, and then they're just like with their squad, you know, so you're just like, yeah, nice to meet you, and then it's just like you go separate ways, kind of. And yeah, that stuff is it is what it is, I feel like, you know, like it's
Good way to put it.
It's not like a side of insecurity. It could be like a side of insecurity, you know, but I don't really know. I personally love this place up here, you know, like it's, you guys have all spent your whole entire lives together, you know, but like it's so cool going around Whistler and walking around town, and you just see all of these dope ass snowboarders that are so naturally talented. I was just watching the E-Jack, and your podcast came out, I think today or yesterday or
a week
few
ago.
days. Yeah, a few days ago, and just E-Jack being like, dude, Bryn, like, shout out to him. Like, dude, there's just so many of these insanely naturally talented, like gifted snowboarders that are like so good. And yeah, we have social media nowadays, so you see some crazy clip or whatever, you know, like, and that shit's starting to go viral, all these people reposting it, like that shit's dope. Like, you know, you're just spreading snowboarding and making other people watch it. And I think that, yeah, it's awesome. Like I was saying, it's just nothing but all due respect to every style of snowboarding, you know. And I wish we could all just, it would be like dope to almost, not like a festival, but like do some sort of event, whether it's just like 100. I haven't ever been to Holy Bully, but that vibe looks really cool. Like getting everybody to just be like working together and putting shovel work in and stuff like that, and riding cool, fun, weird features in the springtime. Like that sounds pretty dope, you know. Like it looks super cool. I mean, you've probably been up there a few times, huh? Yeah,
I've done it a couple times. Yeah, definitely a good time.
Dude, people be chirping for sure. Like there's just like you see these crazy like social posts that you're just like, wow, that person really is calling out this type of snowboarding, and this person I thought was so dope. I looked up to this person snowboarding like as a young kid, you know, and then now like his vision has just completely changed, and he's just calling out all these snowboarders that are like, they're so passionate about doing this and showing that type of snowboarding, but then you're going to call out that person for riding a solid board and not like going up to split board, and you're getting called out by building jumps. You don't want to see clips of people hitting blocked up jumps anymore. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, come on. Like, that person is going out there and killing themselves. Like, if you don't go out in the mountains and your back doesn't hurt, or like you didn't roll your sled that day, then you're not trying. Like, you gotta get out there. If you're in a crew where you're like not like snowboarder, they're not down to help you get your sled unstuck or something, like, fuck that. Like, you're in the wrong crew. Like, you gotta go out there and put the time in, learn how to snowmobile. If you don't know how to snowmobile, then go find a homie, or if rather it be a girl, go find another homie that's on the same level and learn about it and get yourself taught. You know, like, it's hard. It's expensive to go out there and buy a truck and buy a sled and sled deck.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, that's all I had. That was my like little ranting.
I like your rant there.
But
I have like a lot of things to say on that rant. For one, if you take it all the way back to when I mentioned Forrest, not to pinpoint his name specifically, but I just used him as an example because somebody I really looked up to. And then I feel like when we were early in our 20s, there's a couple times I was like, oh, like in seeing Lucas and people like that and Keegan and whoever else at like events like Super Park when we were really young, because we're in our 20s and we're all doing different things. And one person rides a different board than the other person. One person's in a project that another person's not in, and different crews, whatever. It kind of adds these dividers, which I think are breaking down now, but there's still definitely cliquey things in snowboarding. But then you get older, and I feel like most people, when they get older, nobody's really inspired to have a surface level conversation with another person. It's like, life is wild. We snowboard as if you're taking this that serious. Like, calm down. We're sliding around on a piece of wood. We're dressing up in costumes. Like, I want snowboarding to look and be represented in a certain light, no doubt. But I also think that there's not room for treating others poorly in any part of life.
Yeah.
Like, not just snowboarding specifically, but like, be a compassionate individual, which is my whole like motto.
Be thankful with where you're at and what you've accomplished and where you're at, you know, is what I've learned. Like, you can always be wishing that you had more, or you want to be on this trip or whatever, but like, if you work hard, like, people will see that, I feel like. And if you stay humble and just put your head down and show that you love it, and you perform and keep your head on the right track, I feel like you're off to a good start for sure. And definitely I've seen like people that do love to shit talk or whatever and can't hold themselves straight, you know. I like, you see them like just go like, they'll get chopped quick, you know. Like, if you get fed up in the booze or whatever, you know, like if you're not on the right track, like, people notice. And I've gotten put on some like pretty right when my accident happened, I got put on some pretty crazy like contracts of like, you have to follow this rule. Well, not like that rule, but, you know, like, they just wanted the best for me, you know. Like, people wanted to make sure my head was on straight, and that helped me out hugely too. When like,
that you weren't just injured going on a bender.
Year and a half or two of like being full sober, or else I was going to lose my contracts, you know. So that taught me a lot too, with the realm of my accident happening right before that. So
what did you learn during that time of sobriety?
Definitely learn. I have talked to my parents about this a bit. They're both been sober for about 20, 25 years. So definitely feel a little better. I'm 25 now. After a big night, kind of wake up a little hit for sure. But also just like, I always try to keep myself in tame. You know, I love to have a good time. Love to flare up at the party. If there's a little club zone, table, whatever, you know, if there's nights like that with whether it be movie premieres or wherever you must be, you know, but definitely just learn to like when it's good, maybe don't booze. Like you definitely feel way better. Like if we're on a trip, you know, you're filming trip especially, you can have some beers here and there, but if you want to be like thinking straight, like, and you're kind of on it, you know, it's definitely better to be off. It's definitely droggy. You can have a couple too many beers and feel pretty droggy for potentially a day or two. Now I'm learning as I get older with age. But yeah, just learning there's a time and a place for everything. You know, it's summertime right now, so we're having a couple Sapporos and Coronas.
You're on vacation.
We are, yeah. Life's a vacation. Honestly, it's so special, and yeah, so thankful to just be in the spot that I am right now. And yeah, I don't know. I learned a lot from that whole situation. It was probably one of the biggest life. It was the biggest life lesson learned I've had till now. So, but yeah. Do you want to keep talking about snowboarding?
Yeah, sure. We can.
Let's talk about some history about this place, huh?
About Whistler?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go history.
What's your favorite zone in Whist?
Okay, well, let me start off with I like that you brought up people's names like Mikey and Solers, and you know, you brought up Bo and Raz, and you said some sort of like,
dude, I got to spend 2 years ago spend some time with Pasky.
Oh, Pascal. Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
That's a good name drop.
Listen to all the stories. His brother, legend.
Oh, totally.
Gallant,
oh,
right?
Martin?
Yeah, Martin.
That whole, like, that is nice because I imagine the locals that are going to listen to this, like when you go anywhere where you're not from and you've done some homework, it shows that you have some respect for that local community. Like if you travel to a country and you take the time to learn what thank you and a couple things are, it means that you set aside some time because you're going somewhere that you're not familiar and you don't know how that culture works.
Yeah, but arigato gozaimasu.
Totally. And so when you come to Whistler and it's a little bit of a pat on the back, it's kind of like going to, I'm imagining in California, there's probably skate spots, surf spots, snowboard spots that are kind of localized. And if you have some respect for those local communities, most likely they'll let you intertwine with those groups. But if you come in all hot, kind of kooky vibes, people don't fucking respect that. And that's the same thing in Whistler. It's like, this isn't fucking Zippermouth Creek, but like there's definitely a vibe around certain people who come up here with a shitty attitude and come into our zones and they're not from here. It's like, beat it, dude. Mm-hmm. This is our zone. Like, throughout the years, I've heard names of people being blacklisted, and I fuck with that.
Yeah,
do you think like California, you got surf spots? Like, you're not just leaking 100%. Those out.
I went to Baker one time, got mad vibed out. I swear, like, all you Baker people, fuck yeah, dude, hold it down. Like, if y'all want to really be that passionate, and like I got into it with EJAC this year. I was like, dude, Glacier place is mad localized. I've been to some crazy localized surf like spots, and like I was up there for the bank slalom 2 years ago. Went to Baker for the first time. I was with O. We were chilling, and like it is just the most insane scene like ever. Like full local like vibe. You know, like everyone's trying to get up to like the shuck scene or whatever, you know. I'm like, dude, you guys are literally on this like road that ends, like you're at the end of the road up this little valley, dope ass resort, but like you still are living like it's early 90s. Like, sorry, like you really like, I don't even want to know. I wonder what it was like in the early 90s and late 90s when Craig and all those guys were there, like doing shit, you know? And that's what's crazy about here is there's so much undiscovered shit. But I know you guys all have like gotten eyes on zones that are like, there is a lot of shit that has gotten discovered. It's 2024. These snowmobiles are absolutely insane. Helicopters, you can go wherever, but like, there's little cutty spots in the trees, you know, that you guys have mad respect towards like rent, like whatever, you know. There's like little B zones and there's little like
Oh yeah, you're with the
like-
king. Like Mikey's.
I know, but there's like spots that I'm like, Mikey, I know you got shit. Like, if you're a young kid and you want to go and get in the backcountry and hit some jumps that has already been hit or whatever, go build it bigger. Who cares?
Do a
Like,
different grab.
Yeah,
would be my
do a
rec-
different grab. Watch your movies. Like, if you're sitting there doing gotta go and hit this jump, like, know what tricks have been done. Try to do something different, you know? But that's the thing that's so cool about the Man Boys, and like you guys are such a fat squad up here, and yeah, nothing but all due respect for everyone. I think the localism is a cool thing.
You need it to
I'm
a certain
guilty
extent.
for it. Like that's why I'm like, I just try to go around to places to like just try to be mutual.
Oh,
and
you're
just
in.
like be like chill with
You're-
everyone, like worldwide though, because that's what'll get you.
Totally.
You get to a point where you're like, oh, I've got this homie there. Like, I need to save some cash. Yo, can I crash on the couch this week? Yo, you got an extra
if you're a
room,
nice-
you know? Like,
If you're a nice kid, the word is gonna spread, and just being a nice person gets you far in
Yeah,
life in
for
general.
sure.
And the snowboard world is a small world, so when you're like,
if you piss, yeah, it's
if you're a dick-
like a dick to someone,
especially somebody that's older that's been in snowboarding for a long time, that goes
be respectful.
totally.
For
Just
sure.
go through life being compassionate, have some respect, crush some tins in the fucking parking lot, and be nice, say a couple jokes. It's a pretty easy recipe for success,
Yeah.
you know? It's not that fucking hard. Just be a nice guy. Jesus Christ.
But it's crazy operating up here. You guys got a really special spot. The interior BC is really insane and super cool. Gotten to adventure some pretty crazy places there, but yeah, just seeing how you guys do it out here, like Whistler's this is where like shit was like there is a lot of history around these mountains, and yeah, getting to go out with someone like Rince or yourself and just knowing like these people that absolutely love snowboarding. Like, I have a few days on my hands that I remember like us being out and like we're chilling. We meet up with you guys. We're having lunch, chilling, whatever. And then you just like look off into the distance. You're like, oh yeah, that step down, homie hit that. Switchback 7, cab 5, front 5. Like, there, you know,
totally.
like there's so much cool terrain up here. So, yeah, that's what's cool, is to try and just go out there and hit it a little differently. And as long as you got respect for the people that have hit it before you and you know your shit, then I don't see a problem with going to rebuild a feature and
Me neither.
trying to do a cool new trick. Everyone's out there trying to get that 4-minute video part to get a little bit of cash for the summer,
depe-
you know?
it-
I
it-
don't know.
It does depend on if you're a weekend warrior and you're just about it.
Yeah.
Go front 7 tail the same jump that somebody else. Who gives a shit?
For sure.
But if you want to make your mark and you want to like get the respect of the industry, you could say, then don't go to the Hurley Road Gap and do what Devin's already done on it. You know what I mean? Or like what
I like
Trevor
it.
Andrew did, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, or Mikey, or the list goes on and what's been done on that. But if you just are doing it because you love it, do whatever the hell you want.
For sure.
Jump off the Baker Road Gap and do a no grab ollie. Hell yeah.
For sure. That's what I'm feeling too, honestly.
But if you're filming a video part, you know, maybe when you like do some homework and be like, okay, damn, it's been switch methoded by Austin Sweeten, which is insane.
Mm-hmm.
That was a buck one for that one.
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
Let me ask you this before we quickly transition here into some questions, and I'll let you get out of here because I know that you got lots of people coming into town today, and you are on vacation, and we're stoked that you set aside some time to be on this podcast. So, all right, do you have a different mindset? This is more of a me thing. Going into riding a line in Valdez than a contest run? Or do you clock in mentally
Dude,
similar?
Honestly, yeah, mad different. Contest, I've felt like a happy medium for myself is whenever, like, if I'm liking a course, I'm like gonna hopefully be able to put down like an all right run, you know, like I feel like, and I'll be happy, you know. I'm up there chatting with Luke and Judd and Jake and all the homies, you know, Dusty. We have a pretty good little tight-knit crew on the U.S. team, and Sparky's somewhat up in the mix, and Truth and all those kids on the Canadian team, like Liam. And dude, all those kids coming up from here that are living out here are savage. Like, you go up under the park and watch like a shack jump session, you're like, damn, I might get in the mix. Nah, I don't know. Like, Liam's out here doing off the toes back 9, and he'll go switchback 14 and cab 14. Like, they're just like popping tricks, you know, which is cool, which is why I got respect for every type of snowboarding. You know, if you're mad determined and you think you're going to be the next Mark McMorris, go out there, win like 22, 30 events like in a row or whatever, get that many medals, like, good luck, go you. You know, like, Sparky and Sean hit an insane time, like, in snowboarding, you know, like, they were like figuring out their shit and like progressing this sport so much as it was going that they found these runs that they're like, boom, I'm going to do this run. I'm going to win with this run for 8 to 10 years and put a nice check in my pocket, you know? Like, they were so consistent and did so well, and now I feel like that type of shredding, you see all these kids that are out there trying to like go full like contest style, you're like, you realize there's like 15 to 20 kids now that can do that same exact run, and there's also 8 Japanese riders that you've never even heard of that are going to show up to this contest this week and absolutely fuck you up. Like, if these kids land, they're going to go off.
They can do everything.
You know? Yeah, they can do everything. They're like out there in Japan. I was talking to some of those riders, and they're like, dude, they're hitting the airbag like 6 to 8 hours a day, every day in the summer. Like, they're just in their boots 24/7, like, going nuts, you know? So there's that side of there's that side of the sport that's really insane. But there's the other side, you know, where you go up there for a resort day and you want to just go and cruise through the park and have a good time and practice some cool tricks to potentially go out and film in the backcountry the next day, you know, which is also really cool.
Here's a Scandinave bath pass for your stressful contest, whether you keep going contest world or not.
Really?
So go soak it up before you leave or come
What?
back. It doesn't expire. So have you been before?
Oh, buddy. Yeah, you know how many cloudy days there are in Whistler in the winter? Oh.
Place to be.
Dude, thanks so much. Holy
No worries.
smokes, my lady's going to love this.
Are you going to continue to do contests?
Yeah, I really want to try to go to Italy. I've tried 3 of these damn Olympic things. Been super close all the times. Last year we were at the last final stop, and I was trying like a cab 16 on like a 30, 40-foot jump, the first jump at Locks. I was like, okay, if I land this run, hopefully, I was like, I'll definitely get like a podium. Like, Sean's got to win to like beat me or whatever, you know? And I was like, the Locks Open week is so gnarly because you have like 2 days of practice, day off, and then it's qualifiers, semifinals, finals. So you're riding for like a week straight of just hucking your shit. And Sean won. I fucked up. I did a back 270 off on the first rail, came off like 6 inches early, and that like docked my whole overall score. The rest of the run was like flawless. Did my first ever cab 16 in the run. Was like so psyched. Got 4th at the Locks Open, but like, yeah, right when I got done with the run, I was like, fuck. This one comes down to him. He laced up the dopest run. Sean Fitzsimons won his like first ever Grand Prix or like World Cup. So that was super cool. And then went to the Olympics like 2 weeks later. But yeah, it was hilarious. Fell, was so damn mad. I was like, all right, it's all right. I'll be able to go film straight to a drug test. I was like, oh shit. Hopefully I wasn't smoking too soon.
Oh shit.
But yeah, and then going up to Alaska, it's a whole different thing, dude. You're dealing with a B3, like you're dealing with a machine. you got a photographer, a drone pilot, a long lens. Like, you got just so many people up in there. Like, you're like, all right, if I hit a pretty big cliff or this huge jump and do this trick and Black gets a dope photo, he might get a cover. That would be kind of dope. I don't really know. Like, Ben seems like he's just printing out covers, like, no worries. Danny's getting covers, no worries. Sparky, I'm like, God damn, like, what do I got to do this? But, yeah, so just trying to find jumps, I feel like. Like, dude, Trav is a psycho. Shout out T. Rice. Like, he's a fucking savage, you know? Like, he has pushed the sport of line riding up there in Alaska to an all-time high. And so it's really hard to get a clip when you're up there. Like, I'm sitting in a bird 2 years ago. It was with, like, Ben and Mickle. I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, this is going to be a crazy week. Last year, got to be with, like, Ben and Danny and Zoe, and that was, like, super cool. It's definitely a fully different, like, headspace, you know? Like, I'm not out there, like, trying to roll up, really, and, like, shit like that. Like, you're kind of out there, like, fuck, hope I don't get lost on my line today and fly off a 90-foot cliff, because that's, like, straight up will happen so easily if you're on the wrong ridge top.
Oh, yeah. It's so different when you're looking up
but
at a line.
But it's an adrenaline rush that is, like, out of this world. And I know you know that. You've been kind of judging the NST and shit, and have rode some pretty big boy shit up here in Wiss for sure. It's an adrenaline rush that you could that we live for.
Hell yeah, brother.
So we're going no
video.
No video.
Heartbreaking.
Nice. Look crazy.
The fire department, when they came here, fucked with the shit. So we're going to press the reset button right now. Where do you want to take your snowboarding in the next 5 to 10 to 20 years?
I would, love to just spend a bunch more time out in the mountains, for sure. I feel like I'm starting to learn a lot of these mountain ranges, which is really cool. I'm really, really young, so definitely want to just keep traveling a bit and trying to spend more time in all of these cool mountain ranges, the coastal range from all the way up in Alaska, all the way down to the end of the Sierras down there in California is really cool. And there's a lot of really cool stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I feel like I haven't gotten to discover in interior. So yeah, just spending a lot of time out in the mountains, whether it be here in North America or just around the world. Definitely want to try to give this next little Olympic run a go for Italy. I think, I've gotten to practice the back 18 quite a bit, so hopefully let that one rip soon. And yeah, I feel like if you got an 1800, you could maybe be in the realm of hopefully doing all right, or at least making the team. So definitely want to try to get that figured out and spend a bunch of time on the slope course the next year to two. But yeah, for right now, I want to finish up this project. Me and Ben and Mark and Danny, and so there's some other Burton riders a part of that. But Red Bull and Burton are doing a movie. So that'll be a cool year this next year. I'm looking forward to doing that, but also trying to keep the happy medium of trying to qualify for the Olympics. So that'll be quite interesting. And then, later on down the line, like I was saying, it'd be super cool. I feel like a lot of people kind of try to like trend towards that of like being a guide, but I literally just love the mountains so much and, love playing in the snow. So I think just trying to learn as much as I possibly can about all these mountain ranges around the world to hopefully transition into a guide one day. That's kind of why I started doing all of those Wolfers and doing all of these courses, just to, feel as comfortable as I can be to operate out in the mountains.
So did you do an 18, you said?
No, I mean, I've done a few. I've done a bunch, like into the airbag.
What backside?
Mm-hmm.
What do you grab?
Melon. It's kind of like
is it
classic, nuts? Just like spinning, heli dicking. I'll send you a clip.
Hell
I don't know
yeah.
if you want to see an airbag clip, but it makes it
I wanna
feel
see.
a lot more safe. That's for sure.
No, airbag's a good tool to when you start messing around with anything over like a 14, I think, like, or even a 12.
I mean, yeah,
like
1440. I would love to see someone go try 1440, just straight up. First 1440 I did, I think I was like 16 or 17. There was no airbags or anything like that yet, and I like fully just did 3.5, like over rotated straight to my belly, just belly slide down the whole landing. Like, shit used to be savage, bro. It used to be dope. Like, shit's played out now. It's just all easy.
Well, when you started jumping, they started changing the jumps. Charles Beckinsale David Benedict actually is the innovator of that safe step up and over jump.
Yeah.
But it used to be tabletops.
Mm-hmm.
So
Which
a
is
front,
sick,
a front
but, like,
14 on a
gnarly.
tabletop is like
You're
a
just
totally
mad
different.
high up in the air.
The best
like-
photos. Like, I'm
Yeah.
waiting for a park shoot for someone to just do a switchback 16 on a fucking 80-foot tabletop.
Yeah, because you're like 80 feet
looks
up
way
in the air,
better.
too.
All right, we got 10 questions to you presented by Skull Candy. If you need a pair of headphones, you can grab one over there.
Let's go. Skull Candy making a run for it.
Making a run for it.
2024.
All right. Best style currently and back in the day.
Holy smokers. I don't know. Arthur kind of always looks like he's sleeping out there, which is crazy. But Arthur used to be this like dope half pipe rider. I feel like we could see some dope tricks out of Arthur. If we saw some like 900 1080s out there in the conch, Arthur, I feel like your swag would be unmatched. But yeah, he makes snowboarding look so good. And old school riders, I was saying like Noah Salat, like Slaz, I'm like so down with. I'm just like, holy shit, like your style was unmatched. Super like big inspiration on my life. I feel like just SoCal surfer skater homie, and you can really tell and like see it, all those old like 15 12 foot half pipes, like he's just like doing all these crazy sick grabs and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely all those dudes that were in the TB totally board stuff was definitely a huge inspo on how I look at snowboarding for sure.
Good pick. Career highlight.
Holy smokers, probably getting unburied.
Good.
I'm just kidding.
Jesus Christ.
Career highlight, holy smokers. I don't know. This last year we hit a jump on 420 in Valdez. Pretty big jump. Me, Ben, and Danny. You guys will have to wait to see the shots. But that day was awesome. I like burning. You know, I love smoking some ganj. So 420 day, like into the winter up in Alaska, big ass booter. Like we're like, all right, we're hitting this thing and we're helling into town. Winter is over. So that was a really big highlight. Honestly, that was really cool. I swear to you that we found like one of the last little honey hole bowls in North America that had powder on 420 of last year. So that felt cool. Like everyone was just chilling. Like this winter is shit, and we were like hitting like a 70 to 80 footer. Like it was cool. But then I got on the podium one time with Red Gerard and Stale Sandbeck. Got a second place at a winter dew tour. So that was probably one of my bigger highlights for the contest side of things, you could say, which was cool because Reggie, good friend of mine, he's been absolutely dominating the slopestyle scene ever since he kind of won the Olympics. It all just decided to kind of start clicking there, and he's a really good friend. So gotten a lot of fun, successful trips with that dude too, for sure. So
You mentioned a jump that you built with Mark this year, and Dave Downing and a couple others. Your dad showed up. Did you clip up on that thing? I forgot to ask you. What'd you get on it?
Yeah, clipped up on it. It was one of the bigger jumps that these Tahoe dudes have ever seen. It was on the West Shore. We were looking at this jump landing for a few days, and then we built this jump and let it just sit there for like 2 or 3 days. And so we kind of were just looking at it. But yeah, got to a point, played some Rosham, looked at Sparky. I was like, dude, I'm just going to go straight. Like, I'm going to just start from where I think, go straight. And got a back 7 on it, first tee. It's probably like 75, 85 feet. I was pretty psyched. So that was really cool. And then, Sparky got a good cab 9, was battling. He battled cab 12 for like 2 hours or something. I was like, dude, landing shaded, mad bomb holes. We got a tap. But yeah, that's the price we paid to go to war out there with some bigger jumps. But yeah, got a back 7, got a back 10, which was trying to switch back 5, and it just like threw me crazy because you were just mobbing so fast. And then, yeah, got a big front 3 off the toes that I was pretty psyched on. But yeah, it's cool, dude. I'm psyched for people to see. We had a really good winter last year in Tahoe. Got to hit my first ever double line. So that was pretty crazy. That was the day after that. My dad was up there for a few days, so he got to come out and see some sick footage and see just how it all ran together. It was cool. My dad's just like sitting there with Justin Eels at like the Barbie, just like shooting the shit. It's
dope.
So sick. Like, it was crazy. He was out there on one of my first ever snowmobile, like a 2018 Polaris. So yeah, it was a really special winter, honestly, for people that didn't have too good of a winter. I felt really psyched with what I got, and yeah, stoked to show people the movie in 2 Octobers.
Well, that's pretty special to have your dad witnessing live you snowboarding. And I know your dad is a big part of your life.
Yeah.
And you're inspired by him, and he's a bit of your mentor figure. And for him to watch you kind of clip up with Mark McMorris, he must have been like super proud of his son.
He was tripping for
That's
sure.
dope.
He like called me later, was like, dude, I was getting a little teary-eyed when you were going to double John Jay up to go hit that jump, because John Jay was like, yo, Sparky, Brick, you guys like all good with me just hitting these jumps a few times? We're like, bro, for sure, like, get in on this session. Like, John Jay pulls up, just goes like back roadie Sev, super baller, stomped the shit out of it. And then that was like the morning jump, and then we went and hit that bigger jump in the afternoon. He's like, fuck, like, I haven't hit a jump this big in probably 7-10 years, boys. Like, what do you guys think? How's the G's? Like, asking all these questions. I was like, John, you're the fucking godfather of this. Like, you got this. Just go straight, have those knees ready. So yeah, that was one of my like peak times.
Did he get
I
something?
feel like in snowboarding too, is just this last winter getting to go out with like John Jay, saved my life. My dad, Dave Downing, looked up to him since like I was 4 years old. And then Mark. And then I got like Blatt shooting photos, Justin Eels, and then Rafe like shooting drone, running all sorts of camera. Like, it was just an insanely special day. So yeah, a lot of good days this last winter. It was great.
That's rad that someone that's at your age can digest and understand how rad that actually is. That group of people all together.
Having your dad in the backcountry is like crazy, dude.
Yeah. Pops, here
He's
I
like,
go.
you're rolling up right now before you hit this jump. I was like, dude, you have no idea what my nerves are going through right now. You just chill. Like, you go down there. I got this speed test shit figured out.
All right, best trick you ever saw live with your own eyes, or a standout.
Holy smokes, Jody. Oh, man, I've seen countless of 1800s on 20-foot jumps, and that is not it. But, yeah, I mean, man, riding those mountains up in Alaska, it's just so gnarly. Like, I'm sure you get it, and just the scale is just so savage. And seeing some runs that I've seen up there of just Sparky and Ben and Dan doing some one-off stuff. You're like, holy smokes. Like, that was literally a 50 to 80 foot cliff that like was just mid-line. That was like, oh, we probably won't even use that clip, you know? Like, but yeah, definitely seeing Sparky. We hit this pretty big jump in arc. It was, I would say probably I've hit like a couple of those big super park jumps, and this one felt pretty big. It was like 120 foot step down, I'd say, or like that one that like was pretty big end of arc. But watching Sparky do like a front 10 on that was crazy. I did like a cab 9, fully just like G'd out, like held my, like touched my grab, do another grab, but seeing Sparky do a front 10 on like 120 foot step down in the middle of the great North Alaskan mountains was pretty savage for sure. That was like, I mean, not a lot of people understand unless you were like kind of hitting the jump, you know, to just like realize how gnarly shit can be. But yeah, I mean, that was probably, that session to be a part of was one of the crazier times of my life for sure.
What keeps you up at night?
Honestly, the worst sleep of your entire life will be the 3 days leading up to an Alaskan trip. I feel like all the time, I don't know, every time you're about to fly back up there, you're just like, oh boy, like here we go, you know? But yeah, just thinking about things, like if you have a big jump built, thinking about hitting the jump the next morning, you know, like playing Rochambeau on that. I'm playing Rochambeau on this lip tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Like, let's go. Like, that shit keeps me up at night, you know? Like, I don't know. Like, it's so hard to push this sport, and there's so much history to it, and everything's been hit, and there's all these crazy things, but now I feel like I'm trying to kind of push like the old school, like bigger jump style. Like, I just want to see someone go do some dope shit on like a 90 foot step down, you know, like John Jay, switchback 9, mother, OG mother. Like, come on. Like, homie did like a 80 to 100 foot switchback 9 to end his forearm part like 8-10 years ago. Like, everybody doing shit now is just mad soft. Like, all these jumps all these skiers are building and shit is just mad small jumps. Like, you gotta get some distance out there, you know? Like, you gotta scare yourself, have some jacket flapping shit going on, because like that's what like Trav and like those dudes were doing, like their mid prime, you know, like Trav 4th phase. He was going out, yeah, dude, that shit, Chad's got, like, all sorts of crazy shit you think about. Like, they were going out to hit these huge jumps to just get all fucking amped up on adrenaline. Like, that's what I'm after. Just scare the shit out of yourself.
I love that. I love that you said, like, the Rochambeau, and you know that you're hitting the jump first in the morning, and the takeoff's going to be solid, and it's
that's the
cold,
shit that
like,
keeps you up, dude. Once you're like, hell yeah, I'm going to go Rochambeau, Danny, Mark, and Ben tomorrow morning to go hit this jump. Let's fucking go.
All right, favorite steel boarder?
Dude, honestly, I've been hanging out with Riley a bunch lately. He's been, he lives down in Oceanside. We've been playing some golf. He is such a dope human being. Riley Nickerson, shout out. And his boarding's, man, underrated, I feel like, bro. Like, he is so damn talented, and him and Tommy and Forrest, I feel like, are a big high up on this level of just savageness, you know? Like, I mean, Jed Anderson's out here doing some shit that people are just like, oh my gosh, like, you're so good. But, like, that homie's just mad naturally gifted at snowboarding and skateboarding or whatever, you know? Like, he's gone through all crazy phases of his life and just has it figured out. But like Riley, Forrest, Tommy, huge inspiration. Those dudes are out there grinding. Like, Riley's told me some stories, and Spencer Schubert, like, I just got to see that crazy rail he hit, that down flat down or whatever, out there in Denver, just like right on the side of the freeway. that shit's all crazy. You know, there's so many people out there that are so damn talented, but definitely that last, I think it was 686, right? That last
Atlas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That movie's so good.
Yeah, definitely when I was a kid, I know like my homie Luke Winkleman takes like huge inspo from Tommy and those dudes. Like those dudes are definitely leading the way on like some dope rail riding shit for sure.
Most underrated.
Most underrated. Dude, there's so many underrated riders. It's absolutely insane. You know, I'm so fortunate to be in the spot that I am with the people that support me and just trying to keep building those relationships and keeping them all healthy. But yeah, like Big Son touched on it a little bit. There's like so many riders that are out there that could just be getting paid this big dollar to that because they're just so damn good, you know. And one of those kids, like, dude, that kid Sean, like he's a really good friend of mine, Sean Fitzsimmons from Hood River. Absolutely shreds. Took him out here, like me and Red had a few days. We like took him up to Man Boy Gap. He like, boom, switchback roadie, Man Boy Gap, no worries. Like
So
goes
sick.
back up there. He's like, should I do like front 10 dub? Like, what should I do now? He's like, I was like, I don't know. You just went into this jump switch and did a switchback rodeo over like this sick like 50, 60 foot like table step down thing. But yeah, like the names go on and on and on. But definitely Sean Fitzsimon's kid has had some insane, dope, viral clips out there on social media. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of them. But yeah, and, I mean, the list just goes on and on. There's so many people out there, but yeah, just keep your head down and keep grinding.
Keep chucking.
Someone will notice you at some point for sure, and hopefully support you.
One area of your life you'd like to work on?
Being a better boyfriend, I guess. I don't know. Being a better snowboarder, being a better human being. I feel like there's always things you could work on, but yeah, like you were saying, it's just I always just wake up every morning and be like, live for today, make every part of today special, like grab a few things out of it that are amazing to you, and just always try to spread the good vibe, because yeah, I just want to be a happy person, you know. I love surrounding myself with people that love joking around, being happy, and making jokes.
Same. Here. One thing left on your bucket list?
I would love to do something in snowboarding that hasn't been done. I feel like would be dope, but everything's kind of been done. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I love helicopters. I would love to jump out of a helicopter. I would love to, yeah. I really want to do, like, there's this crazy old TB movie, Jared Jones is just riding this full face that's just unlandable. Have you seen this shit? And he's just sitting on the basket and just cramps himself in with one tether or like one carabiner. Carabiners himself into the basket and just does like 8 laps of just like sitting on basket, uncarabiners himself, and then just drops in, like, not like crazy, like who did that crazy self photo?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Not Bassage, right?
Yeah, Mike Bassage?
Yeah, was it Bassage? Yeah, like takes your own photo of jumping out of a bird. He was only like 5-10 feet up, but like there's mad clips of him just like going back up the line of him just sitting outside on the bird with the carabiner in, and then he just unclips it and just like casually just drops off into the line.
That sounds like a nice lap.
That shit would be cool. I've got like a bunch of dumbass crazy like Red Bull project. I think it'd be sick to do like an Evel Knievel type thing and just like jump over a bunch of snowcats. Like, I don't know, shit like that. Be hilarious.
Get your heart
like,
going.
Yeah, get yourself a good, nice adrenaline rush. But then, yeah, if I'm ever in a spot where got a little bit of cash to burn and some support behind brands and stuff like that, I would love to have a cool event. Just get together into the spring, everybody have a good shred and get a good crew of snowboarders together. Maybe not an event, although every snowboarder out there is literally just trying to get paid. So it's like kind of hard if you want to have an event without having a prize purse or whatever. But I've had like all sorts of crazy ideas. Like Danny is like helping me out with like trying to get a Pico. He's like, dude, you could have like this, you could have barbecue, like, I don't know, like just crazy festivals or something where just like everyone gets together, camps, fuck, barbecue, spring session. Just sounds dope.
That sounds like a vibe. Is AI awesome or shit?
Dude, honestly, I learned about AI like 2 months ago.
What do you think?
I mean, it's pretty crazy. I think it's hilarious. We're at 2024. One of these dudes are going to press the button here real soon, and shit's going to get super real. So that's why I fell in love with a Canadian, and now I'm on this side of the border. No, I'm just kidding. But,
it's actually a strategic
the
play.
AI thing is actually hilarious. You like go up on Instagram, it's like searching, you're like, ask AI anything. And you're like, what? Like, you know everything? Or like, you could like ask someone about like a name or something and they like just spit out this huge paragraph about that person. You're like, what? Like, that is sketchy kind of. But yeah, I'm a huge live in the moment dude. I love Instagram, but definitely don't like looking in on all that crazy, weird new technology shit. People get so lost in the technology and stuff. Like, this is already crazy enough. We're talking into a fucking speaker with a camera recording and someone with a hard drive. Like, it's just crazy. It's hilarious. The last few days in Whistler has been insane. There's the power line outage. We were at the skate park for 3 hours. I didn't even know what was going on. And then I hear there's traffic on Sea to Sky. Yesterday, same thing. I was on the golf course. Huge traffic jam. Shit's just getting crazy. It's 2024. I would just go ahead and try to live in the moment.
That's great advice. I agree. Who is the GOAT?
There's like a few, that are like definitely like Terrier. There's like all these snowboarders that are really dope and really good. But like the greatest of all time is a pretty crazy thing to me. Like when you hear like the GOAT word, Because like you sit here and you think you're like, oh yeah, like that, you say that name or whatever. And like that person is like the greatest of all time. But I don't know. There's so many damn good snowboarders that it's kind of hard to like claim like the greatest of all time. But like watching all the old like Dev shit is insane. Watching the Terrier shit is insane. Nico is insane. And then now you look at like Danny, Mark. Like there's so many crazy just like greatest of all times. I feel like, So yeah, I have a couple for sure. I would like put Nico up there on that list. Like you could watch a full part of him riding Locks Resort and you're just like, damn, bro, like this homie just got it dialed, And then then you watch all the old stuff of like Craig and those type of riders, and they had it really dialed just at a certain style, But yeah, I mean, the last 20 years, I feel like Sparky's done pretty damn good for himself from the slope style side of things. You could call him the GOAT. That's what all the homies at X Games call him. And I don't know if we'll ever see a competitor to go on that type of realm, like Sean and Sparky were definitely on a crazy wave there for a while of like the greatest of all times for half pipe and snowboarding that we may ever see, like those dudes went on like a 15-year run of just like every podium, no worries, But yeah, and then you got Terrier, Nico, gotten to do a couple. I've got to hang out with Gigi quite a bit. Like there's just so many snowboarders. It's crazy. But the one thing that is hard that we haven't talked about is my problem with these GOAT situations. And I have so much respect for Terrier and all these European riders, but like this Euro method shit is just like kind of out of hand. Like the method around the front binding, like if you don't do it the right way, like Uncle T did some pretty dope ones for sure, but like I feel like it just turns into a Tina like so easily. Like just because you're grabbing around on your front binding, like doesn't make you Euro. Like, you know, like I'm putting a hard stand on this, that like there's a Euro method around the front binding, and then there's like the OG whatever like in between the binding. But that's why I just have such a hard time with this like goat situation, because I'm like, damn, you think of all those old clips of like Terrier on the quarter pipe and stuff, you're like, damn, that back 3 was so psycho. Who would ever go into a quarter pipe and be like, I'm gonna go 20 feet out and do a back 180 and come into this quarter pipe switch? But the goat would. So yeah, I feel like, yeah, watching those older boarders with all that crazy board control is definitely really cool. And my goat would be between Terrier and Nico, kind of like the Kobe Braun type shit. I don't know.
I like how you're like, there is no goat, and at the end you're like, Terrier and
Well,
Nicholas
that's
Mueller.
the question. You like how I went there too? I was like, went on this route. I was like, Sean and Mark are kind of the goat of like the slope shit, but like these dudes are kind of the goat of like that shit. But then it's like so hard, because then you're like up here and you're in Whistler. I'm like, if you ain't telling like Dev, like I don't know, like if Dev's not the goat, like what are we really doing, you know? Like fuck. Like he's like, you go and sled out there and you're like, he hit that and 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 that. He did that there. He did that there. From Pemberton all the way down to Squamish. Like everything's been fucking hit.
True. Then he landed like everything first try, and he was the one showing his crew where to go. And
which is why I'm just always
awesome.
sitting there, and when people do ask me that question, even if it's like a night out or whatever, you're just like, that's kind of my answer to like everyone, because it's so hard.
I like I like the long format.
Because then you're like
answer.
sitting there and you're like, damn, like who's the goat of rail riding? Like you're like, damn, like JP, those dudes were doing crazy shit in that era. Now you're like looking at this and you're like, Jed Anderson is out here skating this rail like some Nigel Houston homie now, you know? Like he's literally just doing these tricks on rails that you're like, what the fuck? How? So yeah, end of the day, mad respect for all the snowboarders out there. Fucking keep going.
You got a closing remark?
Thanks for tuning in. If you've tuned in this long, sorry for rambling.
No.
Jody, thanks so much for putting this on. It's always a really cool thing. The second podcast I've only ever
I'm
done.
so sorry for the fire.
Bit of a rambler. Dude, that was epic.
We had a
Been in
fire
here for a
thing
few
come
hours. Yeah.
So if you listened this far in the audio, the video cut out probably half an hour ago because we got kicked out for a fire, and I left it recording, so it took up a bunch of data while we were waiting for the fire situation to get put out. So apologies for anybody watching. If you're listening, thank you for tuning in. Huge fan.
Dude, huge fan of you too.
Just
Thank you.
keep it going. I think you're leaning into a lot of the right avenues in life from what I see. Living for the moment. You just continue to be a better person every time I see you. I think you live with I think a lot of people are maybe you could call them, I don't want to say fake because that's a little harsh, but like a more rounded word maybe for that is suiting to you. It's refreshing to hang out with you because I think you're genuinely yourself, which is awesome. And I think that your approach to snowboarding is refreshing because you draw inspo from surfing and skating and from your California roots. And I think that, you know, someone like Noah Selaznick is a great person to be like, totally, like that's your lane. Surfing, skating, snowboarding. And since you draw inspiration from all of them, it just makes you have a unique approach to each one of them, and you can see it in your riding. It's fucking a thing. It's art. Like I would say you have arguably the best method out right now. I think you do have the best method right now. Maybe.
Thank you.
I think you do. Because
I'm down.
You don't do donkey kick method.
There's a lot of people out there with really good methods, but
there's not really though. Sorry, I'm really harsh on the method, and I don't really like the look of them.
It's a hard thing to do.
You have to be vulnerable to do a method in front of everybody because most likely you have a bad method.
Yeah, that is the thing that's gnarly. Is you go into a jump, you're like, I'm gonna do a method right now, and everybody that is around this jump is going to judge the fuck out of this.
It's not like a front
right
3
now.
or a front 7. You know, if you're a little drift, people are like, oh, whatever. But like
Yeah.
a method is like, you're like, oh, you're getting naked in front of everybody.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the thing. I've James Jackson, shout out from Bend, Oregon. He used to be a half pipe digger up there at Mount Hood, and now is a pretty good all-time mental coach. He helped Scotty James, and now is working with Red Bull, and he has been for a long time. But I remember at a Red Bull camp, I spent a whole day learning how to do that method.
That same
And
guy
he
taught
straight
Scotty
up-
James?
Mm-hmm. He's like that dude at the top of X Games, nice mask on. He's a good dude once you talk to him, but he's just like up there, mask on, looking all gnarly. But yeah, he's the man, and he's been in snowboarding for a really long time. But definitely shout out James Jackson for literally teaching me how to do a method. Because I remember the day he told me, yeah, a couple of those little hacks that I got for that method. The day that was all going down, like I remember, like the one clicked, and I was just like, that was the best feeling in the world. I will do that forever. But yeah, that's definitely my favorite trick, I would say, to do. It's really good. Trying to work on him switch now is really hard. Shout out to anyone out there that has a really good switch method. Danny D's got a pretty good one for sure.
Danny, Devin Walsh, Andrew Jeeves. Those are the only people Andrew and Devin, I think, are the only people who have done it on
Which, if
natty
you're going
downhill cliffs.
switch, I got you on the around the binding thing. Because doing a switch method with the hand in between the bindings is damn near impossible. And that's why I think how I think about it on the regular side of things, because I'm like, fuck, it's actually really hard to feel the way that you feel.
Well, you got to do the way you do it is you do a switch melon, you turn it into like a crooked cop, and then you do the Tech 9 skate method melon, which is one of my favorites. Deadlung and Benny, there's a couple people that, and
Deadlung's
Magoon.
got-
And dude, it's like crooked
Yeah,
melon.
Magoon's got that
it's
like
so
dope
sick.
ski. That's like,
Yeah.
like current cables,
Yeah.
like lean air.
And then
type shit.
you dunk it up, which is like, I don't know. Yeah,
Thank you.
It's beautiful. And on that note, thank you for tuning in, everybody. Brock's here for a bunch of events, so I don't want to take up too much time. Olivia is waiting outside the studio, so we're going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Thank you for coming on. You're the man. Keep doing methods and fucking snowboarding. Be a good person, everybody. Fucking see you later.
Let's go. Thanks, Jody. You're the fucking man.
Let's go golf.
Anybody that see Jody out there in the conch, give him a high five. He'll probably talk some shit to you for sure.
Fucking 100%. We'll do it again. Peace.
Nice. Thanks, Jody.
The Airtime Podcast is presented by Van Shoes since 1966.
There's nothing fake about it. Have something to believe in and be yourself. You know what I'm saying?